All right, let's talk Ohio State Buckeyes. Look, obviously the season ended in total disappointment. That's undeniable. But since then, the offseason has been nothing but success. Transfer portal has been great. Recruiting has been absolutely outstanding. Ohio State has made a lot of big moves. This team clearly isn't rebuilding. They are reloading and coming back a lot stronger for 2024 and beyond. But I want to focus on a second here the strategy Ohio State is using to accomplish this. And I think the fact that they're, I don't want to say on the forefront of changing the game, but they're using every tool in their disposal to make sure they return to being the top team in the Big Ten and the top team in the country eventually, too. Let's talk about this report from Outkick real quick, and then we'll go into it deeper on the other side. Again, from the report, Ohio State has deep pockets, and the Buckeyes reportedly reached deep into them to put together its new roster. The Buckeyes have been on a shopping spree when it comes to adding talent. The biggest names include Caleb Downs, Will Howard, and Julian Sand. Downs and Howard are transfers. Sand, obviously, a decommit from Alabama. Sand is viewed as a future NFL quarterback who was poached from Alabama, and Downs was a dominant DB for the Crimson Tide before leaving for Columbus. Adding talent like that never comes cheap, and fans now have an idea of just how much it might have cost in NIL money. Between keeping players already on the roster, transfer additions, and early enrollees, the people writing NIL checks to Buckeyes players spent $10 million, according to 10 TV sports anchor Adam King. All right, so there's a lot of people I saw in social media space that they don't like this, right? They're like, oh, are you buying players? Ohio State's buying players using NIL money. Folks, it's called being smart. We live in a very divided country right now. The one thing that every branch of government 100% agreed on, regardless of their affiliation, said, yeah, the NCAA mindset minus NIL is completely bogus and illegal. So they wiped it completely clean. The NIL concept, it is obviously fair. It's what's right for the players. It's 100% on the up and up. And Ohio State, to their credit, are using a tool better than any other program right now. And I think that is how you win games in today's college football. One of the things people forget, switching to the NFL real quick, is that a lot of teams in the mid 1990s, when the NFL instituted a salary cap, said this is bogus, this is ridiculous, this is stupid. You know what happened to those teams? They hit the cellar, and they didn't come out of the cellar for losing seasons for a decade as to try to figure it out. The smart teams figured it out, they adjusted, and they built regular winners. This is a paradigm shift in major college football. Using NIL money, working with collectives to bring in and retain elite talent is as much part of the game as old school recruiting. It may even be more important now than old school recruiting and development. I love the fact Ohio State is using the NIL collective and using it so effectively. This is how the Buckeyes can return to the top of the college football world and return very quickly. I think it's smart what they're doing, and the proof right now is in the pudding with the results they're bringing into the program. Myles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on the story and just everything with Ohio State right now. But first, Buckeyes fans, look, obviously, a lot of big time additions to this program this offseason. In the comment section below, give us your favorite addition. Is it Downs, Howard, Sand, maybe somebody else? Heck, maybe you're a big offensive coordinator, Bill O'Brien fan. Who knows? Give us your favorite addition to the Ohio State Buckeyes program and put them in the comment section below. But Myles, what do you think of this report and just everything going on with the Buckeyes right now?
Yeah, Nick. I mean, you just got to say, welcome to the NIL era. This is college football, like it or not. You can either be like the Ohio States of the world that fully embrace and take advantage of NIL, or you can be like the Clemsons of the world who, at one point in time, were competing for national championships in multiple years. Dabo Sweeney admittedly comes out, he hates NIL. He doesn't want to embrace something like that. And now you see Clemson really kind of has fallen from grace. They're not one of those, forefront teams anymore. But Ohio State, nonetheless, kudos to them. They fully just said, hey, if this is what it's going to be like, let's not push back on it. Let's lean into it 100% and get ahead of the curve. And they have done that. And I think, recruits have noticed. They said, hey, Ohio State values the talent that they bring into this program. They're not afraid to spend money on guys that they think are going to bring in value to this team. So that's a place where we want to go. And you see more and more and more. I think we saw the start of this offseason. They got a couple guys here, a couple guys there, and then some bigger name guys said, "Hey, well, I see this is happening," and you see the domino effect all the way to the end of the most recent big time ones. The guy, Caleb from Alabama, the Caleb Downs comes over. He was a huge one, and then you see Julian Sand leave Alabama for Ohio State. The bigger and bigger players are realizing that Ohio State values these players and they're willing to pay them top dollar to come to Ohio State. And that's why Ohio State's going to be really good next year. I mean, it's just dollars and cents. That's all it comes down to. So I think this is really great by Ohio State. I give them kudos. And you could be Ryan Day. You could, soak in misery because it was a terrible ending to last season. It really couldn't have gone any worse as far as the end of last season went. And you could live in that. You could, feel bad for yourself, or you could say, hey, how do I turn this around? And he's turned it around in a big way, as big as you could in an off season so far. So I think this is great for Ohio State. If I'm an Ohio State fan, I'm feeling a lot better now as I've seen these recruits just pile into the program so far.
And you make a really good point there. I want to highlight. I think it's really important because anytime you've had any sort of success in college football or frankly any endeavor, right? Changing your strategy just always seems something that's really hard to do because you're like, hey, listen, we're Ohio State. I'm Ryan Day. I've won a lot of games. I've been to the college football playoff. I've won a lot of Big Ten titles, right? This is, one of the true blue bloods in all of college football here. Do we really have to change everything we're doing? Even though two disappointing losses to end the season, should we really change everything? Of course, the logical answer is yes, you have to change something, but it doesn't mean it's hard. It doesn't mean it's easy. Excuse me. It's hard for any sort of successful coach and successful program to make that change. I want to give credit to Ryan Day and the entire Ohio State athletic department and recruiting and transfer program, football operations, to figuring out that they needed to make a change and was willing to make such an aggressive change to use NIL money, not just more aggressively than anybody else, but more effectively than anybody else. Those two elements are big. The decision to change is hard enough, but the effectiveness and the execution is really commendable because you can have guys writing fat checks, but you still have to have your coaches and recruiters doing their job as well. It's not just the guy, you can't write a check for $100 million for a recruit, right? So it's the NIL money paired with quality recruiting efforts from these coaches. It's both working hand in hand and leveraging each other to achieve their goal of bringing elite talent back to Columbus. I think a lot of credit is due to Ohio State for not just making smart moves using NIL money and using it effectively, but their execution of their strategy is very commendable as well. No matter how you look at it, I think Ohio State's future, not just in the long term, but in the short term as well, looks incredibly bright.